Greetings, Marines and sailors of NOSC Greensboro. I'm Chaplain Reece bringing you this word of encouragement. I look forward to drill weekends resuming on site so we can connect in person. As you can tell, I am abiding by the shelter-in-place order from the governor of my state in North Carolina and coming to you from my home. As you can also tell, I'll be the first one in line for a haircut just as soon as the barbershop reopens. And I know that's the case for many of you as well. In truth, we have all been inconvenienced by COVID-19. Some of you have been more than inconvenienced. I'm hearing stories of lost jobs and lost incomes. Some of us have lost friends to COVID-19, maybe even family or extended family members. We're all being challenged in ways today that were just unimaginable a few short weeks ago. I want to share with you this devotion and reflect briefly on one of the great Easter stories in my tradition, and then make some connections. It's a story about two individuals whose lives have been dramatically altered, and they weren't sure what the future held. The story comes from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 24. There were two followers of Jesus, one named Cleopas and the other is unnamed, which I think is an invitation for us to stand in his shoes. They'd followed Jesus to Jerusalem, and then after his crucifixion, they thought that their mission was over, until a stranger started walking alongside them on the road. It was the resurrected Christ, but they didn't recognize who he was. They told him about their hopes and dreams and how they had come crashing down. Jesus listened to them until they were all finished. And then Jesus proceeded to tell them about their rich history and all that they had learned in their lives with him. Jesus reminded them of where they had come from and where they could be going. We later learned that their hearts were burning as he talked. It was getting dark, and Jesus started walking ahead of them toward the village. But one of them said, "Why don't you come inside and stay with us for the night?" When they got inside, they shared together in a meal, and it was there, around the table of brotherhood and maybe sisterhood if the other disciple was a female, where they recognized who Jesus was. In the breaking of bread or in sharing life together, they rediscovered their purpose. I love this story for a few reasons. We've all had those moments in life when we are shaken and stirred and forced to think more deeply about where we are in life. They were forced to think about their past and put that into conversation with their thinkings about their future. Intersections in life call us to reflect on our purpose. So let me ask you today, how did you get to be wherever you are in life? Certainly by a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure. It is true that those who work the hardest often do come out ahead. Yet it's also important for us to remember the people who helped to shape us. It's good for us to remember in times like these where we came from. That enables us in uncertain times to draw from the strength and wisdom of those who helped us to get to wherever we are in life today. I love to tell the story that Alex Haley shares in his book, Roots. He tells us that there's a picture sitting on his desk, and in the picture is a turtle sitting on a fence post. It was a daily reminder for him that a turtle sitting on a fence post means that the turtle didn't get there on his own. There have been people who have encouraged each of us and shaped us in positive and perhaps in negative ways into who we've become. It's good for us at this intersection in really the history of our world to sort out and express our gratitude for those influences that have made us who we are. In the story from Luke 24, we also discover the importance of brotherhood and sisterhood. Like so many of you, I like to think that I can do everything on my own. As a fighting force, I'm convinced that each of you are more equipped for self-sufficiency than any other warfighters in the world. Yet we would all agree that we are better mentally, emotionally, and spiritually when we are sharing life together. If you're like me, you love to be encouraged and motivated and inspired to take the gifts that you've been given and put them to work to make a difference. There's something to be said for waking up every morning ready to conquer the world, carrying whatever weights, fears, or struggles that exist on our backs. But what may seem like a lightweight today, after a few days can become a real force to be reckoned with. There was a lecturer once upon a time who was explaining stress management to an audience. He raised a glass of water and asked, "How heavy is this glass of water? How stressful would it be to carry it?" And answers came from all over, ranging from 4 to 16 ounces. The lecturer replied, "The absolute weight doesn't really matter. What matters is the length of time that you try to hold it. If you hold it for just a minute, that's not a problem. But hold it for an hour and the weight becomes amplified, more amplified than you can carry. Hold it for one day, then you've reached a point where the weight is so immense that you are physically, emotionally, and mentally unfit to complete the task. We're all capable of doing so much, but none of us are capable of doing everything on our own. Today, I encourage you to take an inventory of the people in your life, perhaps in your family, at home, maybe at work, in the civilian world, or in your unit, that God has placed in your path to help you share the load of work in life. Sometimes our pride and independence become barriers to accepting the support system that is all around us, and we can make life more difficult than it really should be. We need others to help us share the struggles of life and to listen to us. In this story, the two disciples walked together, discussing their views of the world. They were sharing life together. In this story, Jesus became that stranger who listened to them. Jesus heard them out. He didn't interrupt them, and they knew that he cared. We need people like that in our lives. We need folks who will listen, and we need to listen as well. But we also need those people in our lives who can be honest with us. After they were finished speaking out on the road, it was clear to Jesus that their thinking was what he defines as foolish. So he told them they were misunderstanding their purpose and mission. Do you have any people in your life that you respect and admire so much that they can tell you that you are foolish, and then you still invite them into your home to spend the evening? I have some folks in my life that I respect that much. That's what happens in this text. And when they got inside the home, though, these two disciples who were once confused and with little direction left in life, they rediscovered their purpose. We learned that while they were breaking bread with Jesus, they realized who he was, and then he vanished from their sight. And very quickly, they went back to Jerusalem with a new sense of purpose and mission. In essence, they got back to work after hearing their rich past and connecting with Jesus. I don't know about any of you, but one thing I'm learning about myself is that the most life-changing events and the most meaningful things that happen to me often come in the simplest moments. Through my relationships with others, moments with mentors who I've come to respect and trust, time with my wife and little boy, moments in my faith tradition, perhaps in worship or prayer, out in nature enjoying the simplicity of creation, out on a morning run challenging myself to go the extra mile, sitting around the table, something my family is doing more of these days, or maybe in a Zoom call with a cousin sheltered down somewhere else that someone I haven't spoken to in a while. It is true that life is different right now, but I encourage you to take advantage of this time to think about life, to reflect on life, maybe to read that good book on leadership, to connect with those that you love the most, to think about how the busyness of life gets in the way of the people who really mean the most to us. There are people around you who need your support, and people around you who have support to offer. They're friends, they're spouses, they're girlfriends or boyfriends, they're mentors, maybe even strangers. So may we listen, learn, reflect, and may we continue to grow into better men and women as better leaders and as better people. If I can help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out to me on the email address posted on the opening and closing screen. We'll share contact information and connect in a way that is most convenient for you. Remember that social distancing doesn't have to mean social isolation. So until we see each other again, be good to yourselves, protect what you've earned, and take care of one another. Amen.